What happens when prejudice meets privilege? Today we witness a story of assumptions, shattered and lessons learned in the most unexpected way. We see an upscale shopping district in a major city, with focus on a small electronics boutique, called Tech Haven. In this exclusive neighborhood where wealth speaks volumes, one young entrepreneur is about to teach a biased store owner that you can never judge a book by its cover. Our story centers on 17-year-old Marcus Johnson, a black teen, walking down a busy street. He's wearing casual clothes, jeans, sneakers, and a hoodie. Despite his casual appearance, the young black entrepreneur carries himself with quiet confidence. Marcus Johnson isn't your typical teenager. At just 17 years old, this brilliant black teen is already revolutionizing the tech industry with his innovative app development company, MJ Solutions. With a net worth exceeding $8 million, the young black prodigy has been featured in Forbes 30 Under 30 and has contracts with major tech companies across the country. In his home office, Marcus works at a state-of-the-art setup with multiple monitors, typing code, while occasionally glancing at business reports. "I started coding when I was 9, Marcus explains. By 12 I had developed my first app. People didn't take me seriously because of my age, so I learned quickly that results speak louder than perceptions." Despite his success, the black teen remains grounded. He still lives in the same neighborhood where he grew up, mentors other young black and brown coders at the local community center, and dresses like any other teenager his age. As he closes his laptop and checks his watch, Marcus reflects, "My mom always taught me that true character isn't about what you have, but who you are when nobody's watching. I try to live by that." Today, Marcus needs to purchase some specialized equipment for his latest project. Heading to Tech Haven, a boutique electronics store known for carrying high-end, hard-to-find components. What should be a simple shopping trip is about to become much more. The store has a reputation for catering to wealthy professionals and tech enthusiasts. Its owner, Richard Whitmore, a 50-year-old white man who prides himself on knowing his clientele and maintaining an exclusive atmosphere, has run the business for 15 years, rarely seeing many black customers in his store. As Marcus enters Tech Haven, the bell above the door chimes softly. The store is pristine glass. Display cases showcase the latest tech gadgets, and sleek shelving units house components, organized with meticulous care. Two customers in business attire are being assisted by a sales associate. Richard Whitmore stands behind the counter, dressed in a button-up shirt and blazer. Richard glances up as Marcus enters, his expression shifting from welcoming to suspicious in an instant upon seeing the black teenager. He watches Marcus intently as the young black man browses the aisles, examining various components with knowledgeable interest. "Can I help you find something?" Richard's tone is cool as he approaches Marcus, standing uncomfortably close. "Just looking for now, thanks," Marcus responds politely, continuing to examine a specialized graphics processor. "These are very expensive items," Richard says pointedly. "Maybe I can direct you to something more appropriate for your needs." Marcus looks up, momentarily confused. "I know what I'm looking for, but thank you." As Marcus moves to another display, Richard follows closely behind. The other customers notice the tension, exchanging uncomfortable glances. Marcus selects several high-end components and heads toward the counter. Richard hurries ahead of him, positioning himself behind the register with a skeptical expression. "That'll be $2,875.43, Richard announces after scanning the items, his tone suggesting he doesn't expect Marcus to actually make the purchase. Marcus reaches into his pocket and pulls out his wallet. Richard tenses, his hand moving slightly toward the security button beneath the counter. "Before I ring you up," Richard says with forced politeness, "would you mind showing me what else you have in your pockets?" The store falls silent. The other customers stop their conversations, watching the scene unfold. "Excuse me?" Marcus asks, his voice steady despite the insult. "Store policy," Richard lies. "For security purposes." "I've been coming to stores like this for years," Marcus replies. "That's not a standard policy anywhere." "It is here," Richard insists. "I need to make sure you haven't picked up anything else while browsing." Marcus stands tall, looking Richard directly in the eyes. "You're asking to search me because you think I'm stealing." "I'm simply following procedure," Richard says defensively, though his eyes dart away from Marcus's steady gaze. "No, you're profiling me," Marcus states firmly. You didn't ask either of those customers to empty their pockets. He gestures toward the two business people who look away awkwardly. Richard's face flushes. Look, kid, I don't want any trouble. But this is my store and I have the right to protect my merchandise from potential issues. Potential issues? The black teen repeats, his voice steady but firm. You mean black teenagers in hoodies? A tense silence fills the room. One of the other customers, a woman in her 40s, begins to gather her things, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. The black entrepreneur takes a deep breath. I came here to purchase these components for a project I'm working on. I have the money to pay for them. But instead of treating me like a customer, you're treating me like a criminal because of my skin color. I'm just being cautious, Richard defends himself, though his voice has lost some of its certainty. No, you're being racist, Marcus says calmly. And you're about to lose a valuable customer. Richard scoffs. Look, I've been in business for 15 years. My clientele are professionals who actually work in the industry. Not teenagers who what? Marcus interrupts. Who run their own tech companies. Who develop apps used by millions of people. Who have contracts with major corporations. Richard pauses, confusion crossing his face. My name is Marcus Johnson, the black teen continues, pulling out his business card along with his platinum credit card. I'm the founder and CEO of MJ Solutions. I came here because I heard you carried quality components, but clearly your business ethics don't match your inventory standards, especially when it comes to serving black customers. Richard's expression transforms from confusion to shock as he recognizes the name. MJ Solutions? The app development company that just signed that multi-million-dollar contract with tech giant. The same, Marcus confirms, his dignity intact despite the humiliation he's been subjected to. Though I'm surprised you've heard of us, considering you can't seem to recognize a legitimate customer when one walks through your door. The female customer who was preparing to leave stops and pulls out her phone, quickly looking something up. Oh my God, she whispers to her companion. That's him. Forbes 30 under 30. Richard's face pales as he realizes his mistake. His hands shake slightly as he tries to regain his composure. There seems to have been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Marcus says. You made an assumption based on how I look, not who I am. The store falls completely silent. The other customers are now openly watching, their expressions a mix of shock and discomfort. I apologize, Richard stammers, his earlier confidence evaporating. Of course you don't need to empty your pockets. Let me just ring up these items for you. I don't think so, Marcus says, putting his cards back in his wallet. I'll take my business elsewhere. Please, Richard pleads, suddenly aware of what he stands to lose, not just this sale but potentially his reputation. I made a mistake. Let me make it right. Marcus considers for a moment. Making it right isn't just about completing this one transaction. It's about recognizing your bias and doing better. Richard nods rapidly. Yes, absolutely. I was wrong to profile you. It was unacceptable. It was racist, Marcus corrects him firmly. Call it what it is if you want to address it. Richard swallows hard. Yes, it was racist of me. I'm truly sorry. Marcus studies Richard's face, assessing his sincerity. Apologies are a start, but actions matter more. What can I do? Richard asks, now desperate to make amends. Marcus thinks for a moment. I mentor young coders at the Westside Community Center. Mostly black and brown kids with incredible potential but limited resources. They need equipment. Richard nods, understanding where this is going. If you're serious about making this right, Marcus continues, you can start by donating some entry-level development kits to our program. And maybe offer internships to a few of our advanced students. They deserve the same opportunities as anyone else who walks through your door. Richard hesitates only briefly before nodding. I can do that. I will do that. Good, Marcus says. I'll have my assistant contact you tomorrow to work out the details. He turns to leave, then pauses. And if you're wondering if I still want these components, I do. But I'll come back another day. I think we both need some time to process this interaction. As Marcus walks toward the door, one of the other customers, an older man in a suit, nods respectfully to him. The woman who recognized him offers a small smile of support. Marcus exits Tech Haven with his head held high, leaving Richard to reflect on the consequences of his prejudice. As the door closes behind him, the other customers approach the counter, both looking disapprovingly at Richard. "I think I'll take my business elsewhere too," the woman says, placing down the item she had planned to purchase. 2 weeks later, we see Marcus returning to Tech Haven. The atmosphere is noticeably different. On the wall near the entrance is a newly framed non-discrimination policy. Behind the counter stands Richard alongside a young black woman wearing a staff shirt, one of the students from Marcus's mentoring program. Richard approaches Marcus, his demeanor completely transformed. "Mr. Johnson, welcome. Thank you for giving us another chance." "Everyone deserves a second chance when they're committed to change," Marcus replies. "How's Tasha working out?" "She's brilliant," Richard says with genuine admiration. "Already knows more about some of our inventory than I do." Marcus smiles. "That doesn't surprise me at all." As Richard helps Marcus find the components he needs, we see that the store now has a more diverse clientele. Richard treats each customer with the same respect and attention regardless of their appearance or age. "Those development kits you donated made a huge difference," Marcus tells Richard as they approach the counter. "3 of our students have already completed their first apps." "That's fantastic," Richard says, and his enthusiasm seems genuine. "I'd love to see their work sometime." "Actually," Marcus says, "we're having a showcase next month. You should come." Richard rings up Marcus's purchase, his manner respectful and professional. "I'd be honored." As Marcus leaves the store, we see that both men have been transformed by their encounter. Richard has confronted his biases and begun the work of becoming a better person and business owner. And Marcus has once again proven that true power comes not just from success but from using that success to open doors for others. The story closes with a montage, Richard attending the student showcase looking impressed as teenagers present their projects, Tasha confidently helping customers at Tech Haven, and finally, Marcus speaking to a group of young coders, inspiring the next generation of innovators. What would you do if you were in Marcus's position? Would you have given Richard a second chance? And if you were Richard, how would you work to address the prejudices you didn't even realize you had? Sometimes the most important growth comes from our most uncomfortable moments. If you follow us to this moment, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. See you all in the next video.